Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dialogues in the President's Corner featuring Dr. Czarda, President of Greensboro College, as well as our special guest today, Sheila Barber, Director of Finance in the Business Office. So, this is the first episode we've done in a few weeks. The podcast studio, it was a little cold when we came in. So, how's your summers going? And I mean, we're close to the start of the semester. So, how's everyone doing today?
Been exceptionally busy this summer for a number of reasons. A lot of interesting projects on campus. If you follow these podcasts, you might remember my chat with Rodney Allen from the Governor's School. The Governor's School program is 60 years old, but this is the first time it's ever been in Greensboro. It's a month-long program for, in our case, 400 of the best and brightest rising high school seniors in North Carolina. And this is our first year hosting them. As a matter of fact, they're wrapping up within the next week or so.
Sheila, you having a good summer so far?
Yes, I am. Getting settled here. Very lovely campus. Good time to be here.
That's good. I'm tired of this heat. I can't wait till a few weeks from now.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So just to begin with, Dr. Czarda, because the business office isn't like the most front-facing department on campus. So do you want to provide some recent context and history about like the business office?
Yeah, it probably does help so that anybody watching has some idea while we're talking about these things. And you're right, Matthew. The business office is one of those that if everything is going very, very well, nobody notices at all.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality. Yeah, that might be true for others like purchasing and physical plant and information technology and so on. But at Greensboro College, we've recently had some turnover of personnel and have brought in kind of a new team. Many who know the college well remember the name Chris Elmore. Chris was the vice president for business here for 14 years.
Hmm.
He came here relatively early in his career. Was very dedicated for well over a decade. We worked together every day. But back in February, it was time for him to take the next step in his career. So he's moved to another position in Winston-Salem and is doing well. In addition, the director of finance and controller, Tracy Poe, who had been with us about 2 years, very unexpectedly, she was not in the job market, but very unexpectedly had an opportunity come her way. It was one of those which I agreed with. She simply couldn't turn down. So what we have now, as we move forward, is a new senior finance team where Sheila will be talking to today as Director of Finance and Controller, and then also a gentleman named Arnold Henning, who will be virtual most of the time, he'll work remotely, but we'll be on campus occasionally. We'll probably talk to him when he's here, acting as sort of a long-term strategic chief financial officer. So we have a new team, and we have we're very well qualified new team, and I'm very pleased they're here.
So one of the members of the team, Sheila, today. So Sheila, do you want to talk a little bit about your background and experience in finance and higher education?
Sure. Yes. I actually started my career in finance here in Greensboro at a small public accounting firm. And while I was doing that, I was going to the evening program at Guilford College to get my bachelor's degree in accounting. So trying to get my experience in education at the same time so I could get my sit for the CPA exam as soon as I was finished with that.
Mhm.
My first experience with higher education was at Forsyth Tech. There, I worked with the students quite a bit, so it was a little bit different than here. I was the director of finance, but we handled student accounts. I also worked at Wake Forest for the School of Medicine there, and I've had some experience in manufacturing as well. And while I was at Wake, I decided to get my master's, so I got my MBA from East Carolina University.
Okay. So I guess pinpointing Wake and Foresight, just because this is Greensboro College. I mean, you've stayed in the college realm. So you want to talk about how like those opportunities help prepare you for this opportunity?
Sure, yeah, especially Forsyth Tech was my first adventure into higher education. And I really enjoyed working with the students there and working with student accounts, but I also managed accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll. So I got to know a little bit of everybody around campus.
Hmm.
And then as I went to Wake, I was more involved in the budget process and meeting with the business managers for each department and the department chairs and that type of thing, finding out what their needs for the year were and helping with the budgets and then monitoring and tracking spending and that type of thing.
Okay. I know, Dr. Czarda, you had mentioned earlier about like a whole new team coming in and Arnold Henning. Do you want to describe a little bit how Sheila and her department is going to be working with Arnold as a new CFO?
And certainly it's emerging. Arnold's been with us about a month, and Sheila about a week, and so it is a new team that's emerging. The way I see it, and I think the way we see it, is that Arnold will be working on long-term strategic issues in finance. What should our debt structure look like? What would our incoming and ongoing cash flow be for the next 5 years? Taking a good look at our macro level budget process, things of that sort. Sheila will be responsible every day for the management of the business office. And so I think those two work together very closely. It's evolving. They will be working with the board's finance committee and also the board's investment committee. Both will be working on and off directly with the cabinet, who are the vice presidents, and myself. And so that's how I see the division of duties.
Okay. Sheila, I know we had mentioned before how like the business office at a college isn't always like the most front facing. So do you want to describe a little bit about like how like a business office at a college looks different compared to like other businesses?
Well, of course, we have students and the tuition. We pay the bills like other business offices. But I think the major difference is we have other revenue streams, such as federal and state grants, and then we have charitable giving and that type of thing. So we're about serving the general public, not about serving the shareholders. So we have a responsibility to make sure everything gets accounted for appropriately so that we can assure everyone that we're using the funds that we were given for the purpose that they were given for as were requested.
I'm going to add, Matthew, that the former chairman of the board here ran his family's manufacturing company over near Durham, Walter Newton, who's very close to us and very much a supporter of the college. But he used to use the line that it took him a year or two on the board to realize that we're a very unusual business model in a small private college,
Hmm.
where essentially we have one sales event and two cash events per year, which is very different
Yes.
than most of the economy.
So Sheila, I mean, you recently started. So you want to talk about maybe like any initial observations you've seen in terms of like challenges you've seen in the business department, how you're going to address them, you and your team?
Well, basically, I'm just trying to get my feet wet. Right now, the main focus is the financial audit that's coming up. We're trying to get the year closed and that type of thing, but we're trying to look at processes. I was able to spend a little time with Tracy before she left. She suggested a few things to me that we could possibly work on. So we're just trying to learn how things work so we can find a way to make things more efficient and that type of thing.
You just finished closing the last year. Do you want to talk about any new developments and plans that may be coming up? And Dr. Lauder, please feel free to chime in too.
Well, I know one of the things is Genzabar,
Hmm.
the new student information system, and I know that's coming up, and Dr. Czarda may want to speak more to that.
The college for some time has been using a student information system, which is arguably sort of the brain stem, if you will, of any college or university. It
Hmm.
tracks all the student information from admission to graduation. And we are upgrading and going with the package that Sheila mentioned called Genzabar, which is used by hundreds of schools around the country. But anybody in their business, whatever their business, who's gone through a transition of that kind of a core software program, know that's a lot of work. And so we're in the final 10 months or so of implementation, and the business office is very much a part of that.
Thank you, Sheila, for joining us today, and welcome to Greensboro College. Thank you, Dr. Czarda, for joining us for this episode, and thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.